All right, well, we are counting down to America's 250th birthday, and my new book, All-American Patriotism, which is a New York Times bestseller, celebrates the people, the places, the values, and the traditions that make America so great. Sunday Morning's Futures host, Maria Bartiromo, has been living out that American dream. She has a chapter in my book where she talks about why America is so special to her. Here's what she says. She says, when people talk about building a new life in the new world, America, my ancestors literally did that. It's why I'm a proud American. I'm proud of how my family achieved their success. And with that, Maria Bartiromo joins us now. Maria, thanks for joining us. I'm so proud to have you in my book because your American dream story, the story of your family coming over from Italy and producing, their restaurant, and then the icon that you are, Maria, and what you've done in your career is just spectacular. Just kind of talk to us a little bit about that American dream.
Oh, my goodness. Good morning to you, Rachel, and thank you so much. I am so grateful to be part of your book and to be talking about this morning because I'm so grateful to my family. My story begins about 100-plus years after the country was formed. So 1776, America begins. About 120 years later, my mother's family comes here, the Moriali family. I call them the three studs. They were these three handsome Italians that came to America. It was my mother's grandfather and his brothers. They come around 1897, and they buy a house. They move to 17th Street, the house that my mother was born in. About 50 years later, my mother is born in 1932. And then fast forward to 1908, when my grandfather, my father's side, came. That was Carmine Bartiromo. Carmine Bartiromo comes to America in 1906. He's got $13 in his pocket, and it's very similar to so many of our stories out there, our parents and our grandparents. He comes, first thing he does is he goes back overseas and he serves in World War I. And then he comes back to America and he builds a restaurant, literally with his own hands, because he was a construction worker in Italy. He builds a restaurant, calls it first the Rex Tavern, and then he changes to the Rex Manor. He passes that down to my father. I become the coat check girl at the Rex Manor. That was my first job. And what I realized when I was going back and seeing everything about my ancestors and when they first came here, I realized that I come from a long, long string of generations and generations of military men. Okay, so my grandfather, Carmine Bartiromo, first serves in World War I. He has four sons. All four sons serve in the military. His first son, Pasquale Bartiromo, loses his life in Burma in World War II. In 1944, just as the war is ending, Pasquale Bartiromo is blown up. This guy, my uncle Pasquale, he was so tough and so courageous. He signed up for one of the most dangerous missions in all of World War II to become part of General Merrill's Marauders group. And the Merrill's Marauders would do the most dangerous things. They would go behind enemy lines, and that's what Pasquale did. Uncle Pasquale went to Burma, went behind Japanese enemy lines, and was blown up. Second son, Carmine, goes and serves in World War II. Third son, Pete, my Uncle Petey, serves in World War II. Fourth son, my dad, serves in the Korean conflict. So I realized so much about myself when I started reading about my grandfather and my uncles, because you know what, Rach? Yes, I've had an incredible American dream, but freedom is not free. Okay?
Yes.
It was my ancestors who set the tone for me. And then, so 100 years after the country starts, my mother's grandfather is born. 50 years later, my mother is born. My father is born in 1932 as well. And what happens later when my family comes out and after I'm born, I become the first person to broadcast from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
And I want to talk about that. I have a quote from you. From the book. It's so good. You say, oh, let's pull that back up, guys. Okay, Maria says, I was the first person to broadcast from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange back in 1995, so the financial district of New York City has a special place in my heart. For me, the founding of this country and the development of financial institutions kind of go hand in hand. That's your American dream story, Maria. Really quick, what does it feel like right now? You come from a long line of entrepreneurs, small business owners, as well as military people. But you understand that the prosperity of this country comes from free enterprise. And yet our city is being run the city of New York City is being run by your city by a communist.
Well, I mean, you know, I think it's really important that we teach our students the history of this country. I mean, that's where we're going wrong. We can't just, like, throw away books on World War II. We can't, like, rip up stories when it comes to what America was, where we came from, where we're going. We need to understand the history of this country. For example, I also have a memory in my mind that I'll never forget, and that is September 11th. I was there on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. I was outside the New York Stock Exchange when the second plane hit the second building. I ran for my life. There was soot all over the place. I had to close my eyes to run. We thought we were next at the exchange. I remember that vividly. Younger generations, they don't even understand how significant September 11th is. So, I mean, I think it's really important to your point, to understand how we got here, who we are, this great nation that we celebrate 250 years. It wasn't free. It was a long slog, and we need to ensure that our children understand where we're coming from. And that's going to inform people about communism. And that's going to inform people about democracy and the greatness of it.
Amen to all of that. You can hear more about Maria's American Dream story in my book. Really quickly, Maria, tell us what's next on your amazing show.
Well, we got a great show this morning because we're going to the next step to talk about what's going on right now in Iran. Fighting for freedom is what we are still doing today. And that is President Trump's priority in ensuring that this potential nuclear terrorist does not have a nuclear weapon. And that is Iran. The president posted last night, we get a deal today. We're talking with Ambassador Michael Waltz on that. We'll talk about what's next for Congress, Katie Britt and Lisa McClain. And don't miss Adam Bry. He runs a drone company. 50% of the revenue comes from public safety, the other 50% from national security. Drones are hot. This is the new pivot on the battlefield. You'll want to hear what Adam Bry has to say, the CEO of Skydio Drone Company, today, live, coming up.
All right, amazing show. Maria, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for being in the book.
Thank you so much. Grateful.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.